Well, hello, friends, neighbors. John, your whiskey neighbor here. Welcome down the Nook and welcome to Sunday. Sunday, I like to shoot some samples. People share very generous with me, and that helps create more variety and more conversation on the channel. So thank you for that. Today, we're going to talk some Blantons. I haven't bought a bottle of Blantons in a really long time because the price went through the roof. And in the past, I've liked Blantons, but at the price they are now, it's a little tougher. But a good friend, Andy, shared some samples. Now, there's a bit of history to this. Maybe I'll share it later. He shared some samples earlier, and either I misread the label or he mislabeled them. But these are, I've got Blanton's Original, single barrel, and I'll talk about the warehouse, the Rick, and the barrel later. But this is the original. But then he's also given me a sample of Blanton's Gold. And again, warehouse, Rick, and barrel number. So, around 46, around 51. We'll see what I think about Blantons now in the middle of all this craze, and also can I really appreciate a difference moving from the regular single barrel to the single barrel but the gold. Anyways, thanks again, Andy. Thanks for joining me here. And why don't you pour a little Blantons if you have, and if not, pour some nice bourbon, and we'll see if any of our notes are common. 3, 4. Thanks for staying with me through the opener. Today we're talking Blantons. I've got regular and I've got gold, and thanks to Andy. This one, even though it says Blanton's Original, and it's giving me the Warehouse H, the Rick number 13, barrel 52, and it's 46.5%. But it also says Ryan Egan, and Ryan Egan does single store picks for Wine and Beyond up here in Alberta. So I don't know, is this original or is this original but picked by Ryan Egan? I don't know. Either way, this is Blanton's, and it's around the regular single barrel proof. And then we'll get over to gold. And again, it's Warehouse H, so that's really cool. Different Rick, different barrel, and it's 51.5. So let's go in on Blanton's. I've had Blanton's, and I've had it like kind of before the Blanton craze was when I would have it. I don't know if I'd say regularly, but it was available here, and it wasn't crazy priced. It seemed a little high priced, but it seemed like a good bourbon. And then it just kind of blew up, and I'm a bit of a bargain hunter, and now it's more like you find it or you don't. It's certainly never on sale. So I haven't bought one in a long time. So thank you, Andy, for these samples. Going in on Blanton's, as I said, I'll put it down below, but this is Warehouse H. Rick 13. So we'll see what this regular or store pick Blanton's is like. On the nose. It's nice to be in bourbon country again. I've got a little light spicing, some cinnamon, some caramel, some toffees. Like it just, right away, oh, it's a bourbon nose. Nice. Not aggressive. I'm getting a little bit of sweet fruits, but not a crazy amount right now. I think the nose probably will open up more as I have a little sip, and I'll kind of breathe in as well. So why don't we get this going with a little sip. Cheers. That's well done. I should have watched the video of myself tasting Blanton's last time, but I didn't. In fact, I literally carved out just enough time, turn on the cameras, and pour out these samples. So this is right now what I'm tasting with you. I have no notes, and I did no prep. It is a nice brown sugar. It's a nice darker cinnamon. I'm getting a little bit of cherry, but it's not fruit forward, yet it gives a sweetness to it. And when I get that kind of sweetness, light icing sugar and dark cinnamon and brown sugar, I tend to run away to a tasting note I use all the time, which is like a cinnamon bun, and I'm getting a little bit of that pastry, brown sugar, cinnamon coming together. Better try another sip. Cheers. Second sip brought out a little more spice and a little more heat. So a little more peppering, a little bit more, good Kentucky hug going on. It is still playing in a sweet cinnamon light pastry place for me. The fruit, aside from sweetness, is backed off. I thought I was going to get into cherry. I'm not getting a dark cherry now. It's more a cooked apple, like that sweetness in an apple pie, that type of thing. Still, again, a lot of those flavors, that spice palette in an apple pie. Yeah, that's really landing well. You know, what's interesting is my memory put a little more bitterness into Blanton's. That was the one thing that I couldn't reconcile with people, you know, going after Blanton's with the dollars that they're doing and the craze that's happening. I'm always like, you know, Blanton's is good, but it can be bitter. This particular bottle is really good. This Barrel 52 Warehouse Aged Rick 13, this is a good, so maybe it is a pick because this is a banger. It's just my first thoughts, but it's just the way it's put together that you get all the things you're looking for in a strong, sweet, spicy bourbon. This is well done. This is a good one. So now that I've warmed up my palate with what is, I guess, Blanton's Origianl, maybe a store pick, but just at that price. I mean, that ABV, proof, that kind of thing. I do have, this time, I definitely have Blanton's Gold. Andy gave me samples a couple of years ago, and he labeled one gold, or that's the way I read it. Could be my fault. And so I shared with you those thoughts. This is gold for sure. He even shared these back to say, John, this time, let's talk Blanton's Gold. So this, interesting, is that it's the same warehouse. This is also warehouse age. Of course, different Rick, 4 Barrel 76, and it's 51.5 versus 46.5. So we've moved up in ABV or proof, but we're in the same warehouse, different Rick location. But let's see what I can get kind of in contrast into the gold on the nose. There's a little more caramel sweetness or honey. Coming back, I'm almost getting a little nut oil, a little peanut. Yeah, very similar noses though. I like, both of them are strong, right? 46, 51, but neither are putting me off or burning the eyes. Like they're well done at that higher ABV. Let's see if I can get a few more flavors on the palate. Cheers. Part of me wanted to say on the nose, dusty. Now in the palate, I want to say oaky. So there's definite oak in both. We're in bourbon land. If you're not getting new oak in a bourbon, you got the wrong bourbon. So I've got some oak tannins, but I've got more char and oak. And in the nose, I should have said it, there is a little bit of, like, I'm going to say dusty. And so that takes us into, you know, old and shelf and leather and tobacco and those kind of notes. That's too far. I'm not in tobacco yet, but I'm definitely in more char and more oak in the gold versus the regular. Gonna try another sip. Cheers. You know, that drying, oaky approach continues. So very much, like surprisingly much. This lighter, sweeter, far more brown sugar. This drier, dry in the palate, char oak, dry oak, sun-dried oak, bit of dust, yeah, just even the way it's working in my mouth and changing my palate, almost drying my lips, gives the impression of being older. And I believe the difference between regular and gold to be more about selection. They're going for a very specific flavor profile. They're going, it's single barrel. There's always a different experience, and they choose certain barrels to be Blanton's. Yeah, so I don't really know what I'm saying there. Take it all back. But I would say the difference here to me is the amount of light sugar, almost freshness, pastry that I have here, and the dark char, oak, dry finish, and even almost in the palate that I have here. So that clearly becomes a matter of taste. It's always a matter of taste, but This I'm gonna slow down with. I'm gonna be more. Is there other layers? Is there other flavors? What's going on? This one's gonna slow me down in the. If I had a parlor, I'd be in the I don't have a parlor. I barely have a piece of the basement to share with you here. But, this is a reflective dram. This is a deck dram. This might even be a cigar dram, though I worry that it's pretty dry. This is excellent. Like, this is a sweet, like, I've heard people talk about a honey pot, or not a honey pot, but like that some barrels just really zing into what Blanton's is going for. This is really good one. Like I would definitely seek this out, and sad that I missed it. This is more reflective and darker and longer. I've said enough without, I don't know if I've really said in this sitting. It's so hard to tell which one I prefer. This is an easier drinking dram for sure, but this has a lot more charred oak. Anyways, thanks for hearing me ramble on about Blanton's and Blanton's Gold. Are they worth the insane prices? These are both excellent. In my market, happy to pay $100 Canadian. If I can get this down around 80, I'm happier. If I can get this down 120, yeah, maybe it's worth that, but they often go for far more on both of those. Anyways, thanks again for joining me. Hope you guys are having a great weekend and have a great work week ahead. Take care.